Did you know some ordinary-looking 1-cent pennies in your pocket could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars? From rare mint errors to special years like the wheat pennies, collectors are paying big money for these coins. Stick around, because your next penny might just be a hidden treasure. The 1988 United States 1-cent penny is one of those coins that most people handle without ever giving a second thought. A small copper-colored piece of change that seems too ordinary to ever hold any secrets. But for collectors who know where to look, the 1988 penny is far more than just another common cent. It represents a fascinating time in U.S. coinage history, a period of transition in design and composition, and a year that produced a few remarkable varieties and errors that have made this penny extremely collectible. While billions of them were minted and most are worth only face value, some have proven so rare and desirable that they have sold at auction for hundreds, even thousands of dollars, transforming the humble 1988 penny into a genuine treasure. To appreciate why the 1988 penny holds significance, we need to place it in context. By 1988, the Lincoln cent had already been around for nearly 80 years. First introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, the coin featured Victor David Brenner's iconic portrait of Lincoln on the obverse. That portrait remained unchanged through 1988, still showing Lincoln's right-facing profile with the inscriptions "In God We Trust" above, "Liberty" to the left, and the date on the right. Just beneath the date rests the mint mark, which could be blank for Philadelphia, D for Denver, or S for San Francisco in proof coins. The reverse, since 1959, bore Frank Gasparo's design of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. Above the memorial are the words "United States of America," while "E Pluribus Unum" appears just below, and the denomination 1 cent sits at the bottom. Collectors have long enjoyed the hidden detail in this design. With magnification, one can see a tiny engraving of the statue of Abraham Lincoln seated inside the memorial itself. This was one of the clever artistic touches that made the coin more than just a monetary instrument. It was also a miniature piece of art. Why 1988? The U.S. Mint was well into producing pennies with a copper-plated zinc core. Since 1982, the traditional 95% copper composition had been replaced by a lighter 97.5% zinc core covered with a thin copper coating, resulting in a total weight of 2.5 grams. This change was made because of rising copper prices, which meant that producing copper cents was no longer cost-effective. For collectors, this shift marked a major dividing line in the history of the cent, and 1988 pennies stand firmly on the zinc side of that history. Mintage numbers that year were extremely high, reflecting the enormous demand for small denomination coins in circulation. The Philadelphia Mint struck more than 6.9 billion pennies, while the Denver Mint produced over 5.2 billion. San Francisco, meanwhile, issued just under 3.3 million proof cents, struck on polished planchets with specially prepared dies to create coins with mirror-like fields and frosted designs. With numbers like these, it's no surprise that the vast majority of 1988 pennies remain extremely common and only worth face value. But as is so often the case in coin collecting, the extraordinary value lies not in the majority, but in the few coins that slipped through the cracks. Among the most famous and important discoveries in the 1988 penny series is the so-called reverse of 1989 variety. This transitional error occurred when the mint mistakenly struck some 1988 cents using reverse dies intended for the following year's coinage. The difference can be spotted in the initials FG, which appear to the right of the Lincoln Memorial. On the 1988 reverse, the G in FG has a serif, a small decorative stroke. On the 1989 reverse, however, the G is plain and lacks the serif. Careful collectors noticed that some 1988 cents bore this plain G, proving that the dies intended for 1989 had accidentally been paired with 1988 obverse dies. Today, these 1988 reverse of 1989 cents are highly sought after. In circulated condition, they can fetch dozens of dollars, but in uncirculated grades they can sell for hundreds, and in top mint state condition they have crossed auction blocks for well over $1,000. Proof coins from San Francisco are another highlight of 1988. The 1988 S-proofs were sold directly to collectors in proof sets, and they were never intended to circulate. The beauty of these coins lies in their sharp strikes, mirror-like fields, and frosted cameo devices. Collectors prize deep cameo examples which show especially strong contrast. A flawless 1988 proof graded PR70 deep cameo by PCGS or NGC can sell for several $100s, reflecting just how rare such perfect preservation is. Errors also make the 1988 penny a fascinating study. Off-center strikes are among the most popular, where the design was struck improperly on the planchet. If the date is still visible, such off-center 1988 pennies can sell for $50 to $200 depending on how dramatic the error is. Broad strikes, caused when the coin is struck without a collar, result in a larger, stretched appearance. These can sell for $40 to $100 or more. Clipped planchets, where a portion of the metal blank is missing, are another collectible error that often fetches $50 to $150. One of the most exciting error types is the double die, where parts of the design appear doubled due to misalignment during the die creation process. While not as common on the 1988 penny as in other famous double die cents, any strong doubling visible on the date, lettering, or Lincoln's features can increase value significantly. Well-preserved double die examples can easily sell into the hundreds of dollars. Wrong planchet errors, where a cent was struck on a dime or foreign coin blank, are even rarer and have sold at auction for thousands. Auction houses have repeatedly demonstrated the value of the finest 1988 pennies. For instance, examples of the 1988 reverse of 1989 variety in top mint state grades have sold for more than $2,000, confirming the demand among collectors. Proofs in PR70 deep cameo have sold for several $100s, while dramatic mint errors have reached similar or higher levels. Even ordinary 1988 pennies can become valuable if graded MS68 red, with some auction results crossing the $1,000 mark due to the rarity of such high grades. What makes the 1988 penny so intriguing is the way it blends the ordinary with the extraordinary. Billions were struck, and yet within that ocean of common change are tiny islands of rarity and value that continue to surprise collectors. Whether it's a transitional variety, a proof in flawless condition, or an error coin that tells the story of the mint's mistakes, the 1988 penny has something for everyone. It's a reminder that coin collecting is about more than just metal and numbers. It's about history, the stories hidden in plain sight, and the thrill of discovery. The next time you come across a 1988 penny, don't dismiss it as just another cent. Hold it up to the light, examine the reverse carefully, and look for those subtle details that separate the ordinary from the extraordinary. Because as auction records have already proven, a simple penny from 1988 can turn out to be worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars, making it one of the most exciting modern cents for collectors to watch. The 1999 United States 1-cent penny might look like nothing more than an ordinary piece of pocket change, but behind this small copper-plated zinc coin lies a story of rarity, minting mishaps, and surprising value that most people would never expect. For the casual spender, a 1999 penny is simply a cent to be dropped in a tip jar, tossed into a coin tray, or left rattling around in a drawer. Yet for collectors and those who pay close attention, the 1999 penny has proven that even a coin produced in the hundreds of millions can hold remarkable secrets when certain errors, varieties, and high-grade examples are involved. By 1999, the Lincoln cent had already been in circulation for 90 years, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. The obverse still carried Victor David Brenner's iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, facing right with "In God We Trust" arching across the top, "Liberty" to the left, and the date with the mint mark just beneath it to the right. On the reverse was Frank Gasparo's Lincoln Memorial design, first introduced in 1959, showing the monument in fine detail with United States of America above, E pluribus unum below that, and 1 cent in bold letters at the bottom. Hidden within the columns of the memorial sat a tiny image of Lincoln himself, making the Lincoln cent one of the few coins in American history to depict the same figure on both sides. At first glance, the 1999 penny seems completely ordinary, but the truth is that errors and quality issues from this year make it a fascinating piece for collectors. By the late 1990s, the U.S. Mint was striking billions of pennies annually, and with such massive production, mistakes were bound to happen. Some of the most desirable 1999 penny errors include off-center strikes, where the design is dramatically shifted leaving part of the coin blank, and broad strikes, where the rim is missing and the coin appears wider than normal. A dramatic off-center 1999 cent can fetch anywhere from $75 to $250 depending on how much of the design is missing, while broad strike examples in high grade can bring $50 or more. Double die errors are another area of interest for 1999. Collectors always pay attention to doubling on the date, lettering, or Lincoln's features. While the 1999 cent does not have a famous major double die like the legendary 1955 cent, minor double dies from this year have been identified, and those in uncirculated condition often sell for several $100s when the doubling is clear and strong. Wrong planchet errors are among the rarest and most valuable types of mistakes. Imagine a 1999 penny struck on a dime planchet, smaller and silver-colored, or one struck on a foreign coin blank left over from the mint's overseas contracts. These unusual coins are instantly recognizable, and when they appear at auction, collectors battle to own them. Examples have sold for thousands of dollars, proving that a 1-cent coin can suddenly leap in value simply because of the fluke of being struck on the wrong piece of metal. Condition is another factor that separates ordinary 1999 cents from extraordinary ones. Most of the coins saw heavy circulation, showing scratches, spots, and wear from daily use. But some were preserved in mint rolls, proof sets, or by sheer chance, and these high-grade survivors are the ones that command strong premiums. A 1999 cent graded mint state 67 red by PCGS or NGC might sell for $200 to $400, while an MS68 red example, the very finest available, has sold for well over $1,000 at major auctions. Collectors who compete in registry sets will pay astonishing prices for these top-graded coins, because only a handful exist at that level. The 1999 proof cents, struck at the San Francisco Mint and carrying the S Mint mark, also deserve attention. These coins were made with polished dies on carefully prepared planchets, giving them mirror-like surfaces and frosted details. While most proof 1999 cents are common and worth only a few dollars, flawless PR70 deep cameo examples are extremely rare and can bring several $100s at auction. Proof coins with unusual toning, especially rainbow colors that developed over time, are also highly desirable and often sell for strong premiums. Auction history reveals some fascinating results for this unassuming coin. A 1999 Lincoln cent graded MS68 red once sold for close to $2,000 simply because of its perfection and blazing color. A dramatic off-center 1999 penny realized nearly $400, and a broad strike error in gem condition sold for around $200. Perhaps the most jaw-dropping results have been for wrong planchet errors. A 1999 penny struck on a dime planchet sold for several $1,000s, reminding everyone that true minting mistakes can turn pocket change into serious investment pieces. Beyond its value, the 1999 penny also represents a moment in history. It was the last year of the 20th century, closing out nearly 100 years of the Lincoln cents production. Just a year later, the nation would enter a new millennium, and while the penny's design remained unchanged until 2009, collectors often see the 1999 issue as symbolic of an era ending and another beginning. For collectors today, the 1999 penny is both a challenge and an opportunity. The challenge lies in the fact that most examples are common and worth face value, making it easy to overlook them. The opportunity lies in recognizing the rare gems hidden among the ordinary. Whether it's a high-grade survivor, a dramatic off-center strike, or a wrong planchet error that slipped through the mint undetected. The thrill of coin collecting often comes from this very idea, that value hides in plain sight. A penny most people dismiss without a second thought could be the very coin worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. That's why enthusiasts continue to search rolls of pennies, check their pocket change, and study each date and mint mark carefully. The 1999 Lincoln cent is proof that even in the modern era, with billions of coins produced, there are still treasures to be found. So the next time you come across a 1999 penny, take a moment before you spend it. Check the date and mint mark. Look for signs of doubling. Examine whether the coin looks off-center, broader, or struck on a different metal than usual. And if you happen to have one that shines like new with no spots or scratches, it might just be worth submitting to a grading service, because you could be holding one of those rare top-grade examples that sell for thousands. The 1999 United States 1-cent penny proves that even the smallest coin can carry incredible stories and surprising value. It is a coin that connects history, error collecting, and the passion of numismatists who never stop looking for the extraordinary hidden within the ordinary. The 2005 United States 1-cent penny is one of those coins that, at first glance, seems completely ordinary. It's the kind of coin millions of Americans carried around in their pockets, tossed into coin jars, or handed over as loose change without a second thought. Yet, beneath its copper-plated surface lies a fascinating story of design, history, and unexpected value that turns this little piece of metal into something far more interesting than most people realize. For collectors, the 2005 penny represents not only a piece of everyday currency, but also an opportunity to uncover hidden treasures, whether in the form of pristine high-grade examples or striking mint errors that elevate its worth dramatically at auctions. To understand the significance of the 2005 penny, we need to look at the larger history of the Lincoln cent. Since 1909, the penny has featured the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, making it the first U.S. coin to honor a real historical figure rather than using symbolic images. The design by Victor David Brenner became one of the longest-running portraits in American coinage history. By 2005, the Lincoln cent had already gone through many phases. It started with the beloved wheat reverse from 1909 to 1958, then transitioned to the Lincoln Memorial design beginning in 1959. The 2005 penny was struck during the last decade of the Memorial Reverse series, before it was replaced in 2010 with the Union Shield design. The obverse of the 2005 penny shows the familiar right-facing bust of President Lincoln, accompanied by the inscriptions "I in God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 2005. Depending on the mint, you might also see a small letter beneath the date. No mint mark for Philadelphia, AD for Denver, and an S for San Francisco on proof coins. The reverse carries Frank Gasparo's design of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., with United States of America, 1 cent, and E pluribus unum engraved around it. One of the neat details about this design is that with a magnifying glass, you can actually see a tiny representation of Lincoln's seated statue inside the memorial, making it one of the only coins in history where both the obverse and reverse feature the same person. By 2005, pennies were no longer made primarily of copper. Since 1982, the mint had shifted to a composition of 97.5% zinc with a thin copper plating, creating the familiar reddish appearance at a much lower cost. Billions of pennies were struck in 2005 between Philadelphia and Denver, while San Francisco produced proof sets for collectors. Because of these massive mintages, the 2005 penny is extremely common in circulation. But as collectors know, rarity is not the only thing that drives value. Condition and errors make the 2005 penny far more interesting than it appears. A circulated 2005 penny is usually worth just face value, but coins that have been preserved in pristine mint state condition are worth much more. Collectors especially seek out high-grade coins with the full red designation, meaning they still retain their bright, original coppery luster. In lower uncirculated grades like MS63 or MS64, the coin might bring just a small premium, but at the very top of the grading scale, MS67 and MS68 red, the value jumps significantly. In fact, a 2005 penny graded MS68 red by PCGS or NGC has sold at auction for over $200, showing just how much collectors will pay for absolute perfection in modern coinage. Proof coins from 2005, struck at the San Francisco Mint, also add another layer of interest. These coins were sold in annual proof sets, featuring deeply mirrored fields and frosted designs that create a cameo effect. A 2005 S-Proof cent graded PR70 Deep Cameo, essentially flawless, has fetched strong prices in the $75 to $150 range. For collectors who want only the very best, these perfect proof pennies are must-haves. But what really captures attention are the error coins. The 2005 penny is known for several striking errors, and these rare mistakes often bring the most excitement at auction point. One of the most dramatic types is the double die error. A double die occurs when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned during its preparation, causing parts of the design to appear doubled on the struck coin. For the 2005 penny, doubling can sometimes be seen in the inscriptions, most often Liberty or the motto "I in God We Trust." Strong double die errors can bring hundreds of dollars, especially in high grades. Another error type that draws collectors is the off-center strike. When a blank planchet isn't seated properly in the press, the design ends up shifted to one side, leaving a portion of the coin blank. The more dramatic the off-center strike, the more valuable the coin becomes, especially if the date remains visible. A 2005 penny struck 50% off-center could easily fetch $150 to $300, while smaller off-center errors still bring $50 or more. Broad strikes are another fascinating mistake. These occur when the collar that normally holds the coin in place during striking fails, allowing the coin to spread out wider and flatter than normal. Broad-struck 2005 pennies often bring $75 to $200, depending on condition. Clipped planchet errors are also known for this year. These coins have crescent-shaped or straight-edged clips where the blank was cut improperly from the metal sheet. Single-clipped 2005 pennies can bring $50 to $150, while multiple clips or unusual shapes command much higher premiums. Perhaps the most dramatic errors are the wrong planchet strikes. Imagine a Lincoln cent struck on a dime planchet, or even a foreign coin planchet left in the press. These rare accidents create unique coins that collectors will pay thousands of dollars to own. For example, a 2005 penny struck on a dime-sized planchet could easily bring $2,000 or more at auction. Auction results for 2005 pennies with errors show just how exciting this series can be. Off-center strikes have sold for several $100s, dramatic double strikes often bring $400 or more, and wrong planchet errors have sold in the thousands. Even without errors, a top-graded 2005 penny can exceed $200, while flawless proofs continue to attract strong bids from registry collectors. When you put all of this together, it becomes clear that the 2005 Lincoln cent is far more than just an everyday coin. For the average person, it's pocket change. But for collectors, it's part of the long history of the Lincoln series, a series that connects back to 1909 and spans multiple designs. It's a reminder that even coins made in the billions can hold surprises, whether it's in their condition or the rare errors that slipped through the mint's quality control. Picture someone going through a jar of change in their kitchen, pulling out a bright 2005 penny, and realizing it has a dramatic off-center strike or a strong double die. Suddenly, what seemed like a worthless coin could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. That's the thrill of coin collecting, the possibility that hidden treasures are out there, waiting to be discovered by someone who knows what to look for. The 2005 penny may not be old, and it may not seem rare at first glance, but its story is proof that modern coins can be just as exciting as classics. With its place in the closing years of the memorial reverse, its potential for high-grade value, and its fascinating array of mint errors, the 2005 penny deserves a closer look from anyone interested in American coinage. So next time you come across a 2005 Lincoln cent, don't dismiss it too quickly. Take a closer look at the details, check the condition, and keep an eye out for those rare error varieties. You never know, you might just be holding a coin that turns out to be worth far more than a single cent.